Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm here with the creator of Rokfin, Martin Floriani. We're going to answer some questions from the live chat. Cheryl Davis, SoCal, said, how does one become a content creator on Rokfin?
Right now, there's the application process. So you apply, and then, really for you to be successful on Rokfin, what we've seen are the two elements of success is one, you got to create great content. And then two, you got to be able to market that content, right? So we'll consider if you just can create great content, you don't necessarily have a marketing channel, we'll consider that. But really, it's a no-brainer once you have both of those together. So if you apply, we understand that you have great marketing reach, whether it be via social media, whether it be through email lists, whether it be through any other mechanism, we'll take that into consideration. Or in the future, we expect this to be a little bit more automated. But like you said, we're taking a little bit of a more thoughtful, pragmatic approach as we bring on people, just to make sure we understand all the ins and outs and kind of control the process before we let the birdie fly, so to speak.
Okay. Let's see. Jason Burmis, watching the show. Jason, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the love, Graham and Martin. The platform is awesome. P.S. The tip feature is superior to YouTube, and that you can tip videos that are not live. Yes, that's another thing. So the super chat feature, which is what I'm answering right now, this is YouTube super chats, and I'm going to answer the Rokfin tips as well, but it's only when we're live. And you guys came up with this way for people to just tip a video or tip a content creator. Hey, I like what you're doing. Here's a couple of bucks. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, it's just from us. All we think about is how to properly monetize for you, right? So, I mean, that's really the core of how we think about things is how to properly monetize for the creators, and nothing is really in our way. So, it's just, we learn, we'll take good ideas from other places. And obviously Super Chat has been, when we're talking to different creators, they say, oh, we get a ton of value from Super Chat. It's like, well, we got to be able to have that on our platform. We got to be able to have Super Chat. It's like, wait, why don't they have super chats, or why don't they have ways of tipping, elsewhere, right? And so we kind of switched up the super chat, which is just basically a tip function, or from what Twitch has. We've kind of looked at the landscape, and then we said, this should be it. Now, those other entities might not have it for certain reasons, because they're really driven by advertising. The super chats isn't really where they're making billions and hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars in market cap, right? It's because of that. So because we have a different focus, we think we can do it better, because their priorities are all around advertising, and we don't like the advertising model one bit.
Yeah, it's all, well, you brought it up earlier. The advertising model also then makes you more susceptible to bending to the will of the advertisers and bailing on your content creators. I mean, that's the problem, because the advertisers, that's so much that motivates YouTube. Is like the advertisers coming, oh, we don't want this guy talking about the military industrial complex. So, okay. So we're going to censor him monetarily, and that's why, like, being involved in this new thing, Susie Dawson and Bill Binney have come up with Panquake. It's a social media platform. It's not posting videos like Rokfin, but it's social media, and they don't want advertisers for that very reason, because they know how much it can contaminate the world. So Trevin Pinto, thank you so much. What is your curating process and criteria for creators? I think you've already answered that, correct? Yeah. Okay, we answered that one. The Mitch Osborne, I think this one I can actually put on the screen. Mitch, thank you so much for supporting the show. We appreciate big donations like this. You're helping people that are strapped right now. So when you do those big ones, I very much appreciate it. What's beautiful about this platform and model, which sounds a lot like socialism? Here comes Stalin. Is it creates motivation through opportunity. The fundamental flaw of competition is that in order to win, you just need to be better than your opponent by any means necessary. Yeah, let's talk about that, because you have this very much more egalitarian or socialist, whatever you want to call it, model, because the kind of the competition of like just pure top-down capitalism that you're talking about, these big platforms, people like Jeff Bezos and Google or whatever, is that it then creates a like well, I have to, I have to be in competition with Jason Burmis or whatever. Whereas I don't. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that was initially good about YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who came from network TV. So if I had a TV show Thursday at 8:00 and Jimmy Dore's show was Thursday at 8:00, well, we're in competition with each other. Well, now we're not.
Yeah.
But you guys have taken it to the next level. So explain, as Mitch kind of asks here, the creation of this model that makes it much more open or socialist, if you will.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, right? I mean, it's interesting in the sense that in media, bundling is very, very important, right? So if I can bundle Graham with, 3 of people that are like Graham, much more of Graham's audience is going to decide to subscribe because I get Graham, I get this, I get that. So in media, bundling is critical, right? And so what we're essentially allowing is Graham to be able to be bundled more effectively with anyone who else is like Graham, which maybe is considered his competition, right? But it's much more collaborative because now Graham and Jimmy and Jason and all these other people, Whitney Webb, they're all together, and it's like, great, my competition comes on and I benefit, right? Because what happens and what we've seen is as more of the bundle gets stronger, a larger percentage of your audience is willing to subscribe. And then as they're willing to subscribe, they're also willing to pay a much higher fee and stay on longer. So you're kind of expanding your customer base, but then you're also expanding what they can pay. So what ends up happening is it ends up being a huge force multiplier for Graham Elwood. So now you're all of a sudden you're like, yeah, my competition's on, but really they're helping me and I'm helping them and we're all working together. So now everyone's getting the collaborative benefits of that competition. And yeah, you still have to put out great content, but it's like everyone's winning as opposed to it's like you guys fighting it out in the alley,
It's so great. You guys have literally something I first learned, and a lot of us did when I first started like podcasting, just doing audio podcasts over 10 years ago, this movie podcast, is you really saw you didn't have that competition. If you come on my show, your audience learns about my show, my audience learns about you, which is great. You guys have taken it to the next level through this subscription bundling. And I mean, we had a conversation when the shutdown, last spring, when the shutdown first happened, I was like, look, this is going to hurt a lot of people economically. And I've already seen it. I go, people are going to be leaving Patreon to come over to Rokfin because I don't have a problem with Patreon, but you have people who they like Convo Couch and Ron Placone and Nico House and Jason Burmis and Jimmy Dore and Kim Iverson, but they can't afford 5 or 6 Patreon subscriptions. Well, and I mean, 90% of the reason why people left Patreon is financial situation changed. Of financial situation changed, 50% of them said, I'm moving to Rokfin because rather than $30 some a month for all these subscriptions, I'm down to 10 and I'm getting more content and I believe in blockchain and crypto. So even like on a political, social level, guys have created this environment that's more conducive for the bundling thing is brilliant.
Yeah. And you got to wonder, Patreon, they make about 10%, which probably vast majority of their subscribers are like at the $5 range. And once you start to take merchant fees, I mean, the margins are super narrow, but yet their value of a network is worth $1 billion, $2 billion, I think is what they fundraised at the last time. So you got to wonder, what is their plan? Right. Because they're not making money from they're not making a ton of money from the actual, they're burning money, right? So the reason their biggest value is the network, and you got none, and they own 100% of that network, and you got no share of that network when they last raised from all those big hitter Silicon Valley firms that raised at a valuation of, I don't know, it's between $1 and $2 billion. You got locked. No channels got any of that value, but without all of you, Patreon doesn't exist, right? And so it's just, to me, it's a little bit the Silicon Valley of just it's like, they pretend like they're all this, I don't know if they pretend, but like there's this culture of like we're very liberal, we're very da-da-da, but all the while they're just raking in the cash, like very hardcore, because they're keeping all of those benefits, and then in the end, believe you me, somehow you're going to be leveraged. You know, your all the channels are going to be leveraged, and there's a value there. And you got to wonder, where is that? Where are they going to be where are they going to be extracting that value? And we're seeing it with YouTube, right? I mean, we see it. What first it was like, you know, they act like angels, but then over time they got to extract the value because they got to serve Wall Street.
Well, I'm going to ask this question. It might already be in the chat, but so people always ask, you know, can Rokfin be bought and sold? They're always worried. Okay, I'm going to go subscribe to Rokfin, put all this time and money and effort into Rokfin, and then some big buddy like Google or Amazon's going to scoop it up and buy it and ruin it. Can that happen?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. It's fair, and yes, Rokfin is a corporation, so yes, it can be bought and sold. Our thought process around, and that's why when you said, "Hey, I'm getting all this money from Rokfin," I stopped and said, "Actually, it's part of the Ray ecosystem." So Rokfin is the first platform on the Ray ecosystem. We expect more platforms to join the Ray ecosystem over time, and for it to be more decentralized, not single-threaded, right? So, but yes, Rokfin can be bought and sold. Right now, I've taken no venture capital money, built this based off of my resources and kind of what I've done, and I have a vision of making this the future of how people on marketplaces get valued and get their full value. And so, but yeah, I mean, that is a fair thing. I mean, it's kind of like goes to the censorship thing. It's like, you want to be free speech, but we all have lines, right?
Sure.
We all have lines that we say, you know, so, you know, there's just a practical element to how it works. But over time we look to, you know, to make it more decentralized and less single threaded.
Okay. Veronica Love asks, Rokfin Android app when? Because currently you guys released an app for iPhone last year, which was great, and I've pushed it. So when's the Android one coming?
My God, it's the most requested feature in the world.
I'm so
it really is. I can't ignore it anymore. So so we are. I'm not even going to say time, but I hear you. I hear you. We hear the screams for the Android app.
We hear the screams for the Android app. All right, great question, Veronica. Sound like you touched a little bit of a nerve, but it's good. It's a good question to have, because anything to increase the viewership and functionality, I'm all for it. Let's go over to Rokfin. Obviously, it'd be wrong if I didn't go into some of the people that did Rokfin tips. Scott Augustine, boom. Graham's great seeing you at the Ray Vision meetup. All right, Scott, thank you so much. That was another cool thing that you did that this audience might not know. You had just a Ray Vision meetup with all the content creators and your team. It was cool for me because like Nico was there. I know Nico, but your platform also has a lot of MMA and wrestlers. I guess are you a wrestler? Is that why this?
Yeah, I wrestled. I love wrestling.
Okay. I figured, I was like, you must have been a wrestler. Yeah. But it was really cool because these are folks doing a completely different thing. I mean, but they're still putting up content and they need to monetize it and they have questions. And we got to kind of, one guy asked a question and I was able to throw in some, everyone was able to kind of ask questions and help each other, which was a really cool thing. Again, YouTube doesn't do that. I mean, they're a massive, there's no way that I can just go ask them questions. Matt, thank you so much for the tip, Matt. I really appreciate it. All right, those are the let's go. And tell me if you're getting, because there's a lot of questions here, Martin. So if you got to go, you got to
dig in.
All right. Let me go to another question here that I can put on the board. So Kate, our moderator, Kate, thank you so much, is asking, she has some functionality suggestions for Rokfin. Who would she send those to?
I would just do it, support at Rokfin, put in the subject line kind of Kate from Graham Elwood channel. Or, I mean, do you know this person?
Yeah, I know Kate. Yeah, she worked for me.
Yeah, just I would just hit up, your contact, Scott or Jaime, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, Kate, I'll put you in touch with Scott and Jaime. You can ask their questions. And all right, next question. Slippery 22, thank you for supporting the show. Shave your knuckles for justice. If Rokfin content creator repeatedly pushes the verifiable lies to further their narratives, what is the process to expose/remove such videos?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm just going to take the stance that we are not in the business of going into the details and confirming everything that Graham Elwood says. I'm not in that business. We're a platform that we allow you to distribute that, and we allow other people to distribute it. And it's really unrealistic in this day. It's like, it's funny because, you know, the way that is not how YouTube has grown its network. But now that it's a network and it's super high, now that's the standard that everyone's got to go and research. It's like, to me, the hypocrisy of it, you know, of how now all the standards of, oh, now everyone's got to follow these strict standards, which, by the way, really only help the people that have a ton of resources to actually go and do that. And now it's all very subjective as well. So there is no process. We bring on channels. We expect them to be responsible. I'm not gonna like look at your work and now I got a list of facts to confirm. It's absurd. That's really absurd, if you ask me. It's an absurd request. It's absurd to expect a platform like us to do it. And if every platform in the world would have to do it, you know, the only people that benefit is Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, because they have $1 trillion in their bank account, right? So it's really it's an absurd thing to ask a platform to do.
I really appreciate that, because when people say, well, so-and-so is pushing lies or whatever, you know, I don't watch Alex Jones.
Yeah.
I don't watch Alex Jones. I don't agree. That's how you deal with that. I don't watch him.
Yeah.
When I see Sean Hannity push a bunch of nonsense on Fox News, I watch it either to laugh or make fun of him, but you know, I don't watch him.
Yeah. Like well, big boy. Hey, you're a big boy, Graham. Good job. Right. Like, you don't need to have a filter, because guess what? There's a person who's creating that filter, and that person has an agenda. That person's going to have an agenda. That person's going to have influences. And you start creating, it just creates a lot of power. And then who's doing that? So the answer isn't filters. The answer is, we're going to educate people and let people make their own decisions. This is the world we live in. It's not a safe, cuddly world. It's a world where you have to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if someone's on their show, like advocating for some sort of violent craziness, you're going to
say lines, right? There's always lines, right, Graham? So, like, you know, obviously that could be taken to an extreme, just like everything, right? So there's a balance in what I just said, but just general of like, am I going to go and fact check you and to further their narrative? I mean, oh my Lord. Well, I got to figure out what your narrative is. You know, it's like, are you doing something to break the law? Are you doing something that's really dangerous?
Right.
You know? And we're gonna like look at that from a stance of you know, maybe the classic liberal viewpoint of, it's like, we want free speech.
I love it, dude. I love it. Dan Sullivan, question for Martin. Will Rokfin support devices such as Kodi, Roku, etc.? Maybe give us an API so we can make an app ourselves.
That's really interesting. I think that's very good. But yeah, live shows and live events are becoming more and more of an aspect. So making sure that all our channels, our marketplace can really be consumed on a TV very easily is going to be, I don't necessarily know what form, but it's going to be addressed certainly in 2021. But I'm really interested in the API aspect of maybe doing that. That's interesting.
No, because I mean, the majority of the stuff I watch is usually on YouTube or a streaming service using my Apple TV. Mm-hmm. And like people consume my show on YouTube when I'm like, right now I'm live on YouTube and Rokfin.
Yeah.
And they want to, most of my YouTube viewers would prefer to watch it on Rokfin just because they know Google and all that stuff. YouTube right now, because it's a multi-trillion-dollar company, has this, you know, really good functionality.
Yes.
But they're waiting.
Yes.
And I even showed people, like, if you got an iPhone app. You can push it to your TV if you have an app. You know, I'm showing people how to, they want to sit on their couch and watch.
Yep. No, that's great. I mean, we definitely understand the big screen component. And when we talk about it today, we have our meetings where we kind of prioritize different functionality and features, and that was brought up today. So it's not lost on us. We'd always like to move faster. Believe me, I'm always like pushing us to move faster. But yeah, it is 2021 is going to be a great year, hopefully in the front half of 2021.
All right. Well, that's, I think that's all of our questions, and we've taken up enough of your time, Martin. I know you're a busy man. We want to get you, we don't want to take up too much of this man's time. We want him to go back to work and get that Android app cooking.
Yeah.
So Martin, man, I cannot thank you enough, for just taking the time today. I know you're a busy man, but also what you've created, how you've created it, working with your team. And thank you for your patience with me specifically and my skepticism of you and your platform, but really you've done a great job of educating me and all the other content creators as to the value of this. And now we're all kind of seeing it, man. So it's like, and especially as, as censorship is getting even worse now, it's like now I believe in, like, to me, Rokfin is the long-term solution for all of this.
Well, one thing I saw in the chat that came on early on was how to purchase Ray token for
oh, right. Yes. Answer that.
We're making it simpler. So I will give a plug there. And purchasing Ray token and holding Ray token, obviously it can go up and down. So, there's every risk, but if you go to rokfin.com/RAE/dashboard, you can see kind of like the metrics of the network that we publicize. And right there at the top, there's a buy Ray token, and it kind of gives you the instructions on how to buy, very step-by-step. First time, it's a little bit complex to get going, but once you get your footing, it becomes easier and easier to be able to trade. And if you aren't in crypto or Bitcoin, Ethereum, or, if you're not into it, I'd suggest, trying to get into it, because I really do believe that is the future, and kind of just educating yourself is good. And if you're already there, then the steps should be a lot easier too, if you already have those accounts created.
Yeah. And to the viewers, I just want to reiterate that when I started talking about crypto over the summer, I said, get knowledgeable, start learning about it. And if you're in a position to invest a little, and obviously investing is speculative, and don't invest money you can't afford to lose, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have an opportunity here, if you educate yourself and feel comfortable doing it, of being of like basically kind of a part you get to own. You get to be a part of this Rokfin thing that is really growing. And
Great.
So it's really cool, and it helps all of us, and I've had some people in the chat like a week ago, Graham, you told me to buy Rokfin. I bought it at $1. Now it's at $4. This is awesome. Like it's a cool thing. It's
everyone gets to be a part of it, right? There's all these different parts and by doing that, they're giving current creators like yourself liquidity to get out of their position of Ray, because there's more demand pressure to buy it. So it's just like, there's a lot of different components that work together very nicely, that everybody has an opportunity to partake in the success of the network. But like you said, it can go down, it can go up. I'm not here to say it's going to go to the moon. That's not my style. There's a million different factors in the price array, but if it is something that you're interested in, you can go to that dashboard, rokfin.com/RAE/dashboard, and you can see the metrics of what's going on in the network, and then also purchase, have a kind of tutorial to buy Ray.
And then just this, because I also saw this question in the chat, and I get this question a fair amount. And just to clarify, when somebody subscribes $10 or the tips that we've just gotten today, they're obviously paying in American US dollars, and then you convert that to Ray to pay me, correct?
The tips operate different than the subscription.
Okay.
So subscription, your full value goes into a mint, and once about a day's worth of work is done, that triggers a mint that distributes your pro rata share of the work that you did on the network via that mint. And so there's a whole host of reasons why that occurs that way. So when someone tips you, what we do is different. We just convert that tip into Ray and distribute your portion of that tip.
Okay, because the subscription is sort of when they subscribe. So some of that money goes to you guys, to your operating costs. Some of that gets distributed. Because I know, like, if somebody, and correct me if I'm wrong, so somebody subscribes to Graham Elwood's Rokfin channel, they do $10 and they endorse my channel. That means I get a bulk of that. But then, if I'm not mistaken, anybody else's content that they like and view, some of that gets distributed?
Yes. So
okay.
When someone pays us $10, what we do as a platform is we take $10 worth of Ray and we, what they call, burn it, which is we put it and we make it useless. But everyone can confirm that we've made it useless. It'd be the equivalent of us like burning a $10 bill, but making it so that people can account for that we actually did that process. And so that creates this inherent utility.
Just to interrupt for people, that's what the blockchain, why it's so great. It's open source. So you can see that this happened. It's not hidden on some secret server that we don't know.
Yeah.
That's what blockchain is, correct?
Yeah. And everyone can see the active subscribers on the network via that dashboard. And then if they, if they're even more technical, they can kind of start to do their own digging on the blockchain and do their own accounting. But really that just reads from all the resources we have. And kind of makes it easy. But essentially, so then we've destroyed that $10 worth of Ray, and then we get paid the same way you get paid, because we just took that $10 of value that came in. We destroyed $10 of our own value, and then we have a share in the, we get 28% of the subscription. The platform gets 28% of the value of the mint that comes through. And so the creators get 72%. And that's how we are always on an equal footing with the creators, is because our interests are 100% aligned with Ray, and their interests are 100% aligned with Ray. Because if you can imagine, if the Ray price went down to 10 cents, we would have to burn $10 worth of Ray. Now is 100 Ray. So we would have to go and be like, oh, whoa, the price is going down. We have to burn more Ray. So that means we need to go and purchase more Ray. Right, because it takes all our supply of Ray. So now we have a higher demand to actually purchase Ray if the price goes down, because it takes away all of our asset. And so it creates this complete alignment where we benefit, if the price goes up. The creators benefit if the price goes up, because we have to burn less Ray and we get to keep more of the Ray. And so there's, anyways, I kind of got back into the technical component, but
that's good though, man.
That's the difference. But tips are different. Tips are really different. And it doesn't go into the mint. It just actually gets converted to cash. It's kind of more of a currency component.
Does Rokfin take any percentage of the tip? Like when somebody gives me $2, do I get the full $2, or do you guys take a percentage?
No, we take a percentage. We take the same thing as we do in the other thing, 28%. So just a little bit less than YouTube. But the way I explain it is we are a premium service, and a lot of them are $2 tips. And so merchant fees take up 15 to 20% of that just right off the bat, just because, they have a standard 25 cents that gets taken out. So it's, but yeah, it's a nice margin for the platform if it's a higher amount. But at the same time, we think, we offer a great service to the creators. So that's why.
Yeah, it doesn't, the service that doesn't bother me with you guys, because you need that to keep this thing growing. You need that to develop this Android app and to have it be on PlayStation and Roku and everything like that. I have a problem with Google taking fees when they're already making all this crazy money and all of that stuff. So I really, your guys' business model, I like how transparent it is. And I cannot sing the praises of what you've done enough. So
appreciate. Well, Graham, thank you so much for coming on to the platform and being one of the first visionaries, even if it was a little bit more of a, well, I think these guys are going to go bankrupt, but you know what? You stuck with it. You were one of the first people to pull the trigger. And that to me is really meaningful. So I really appreciate you, and I love what you do.
Thanks, brother. I mean, I played baseball as a kid, and I love watching the Cubs. So I'm a run out every ground ball guy. I don't care. You run as hard as you can to first base. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run out this ground ball with Ray. And turns out, it went through the shortstop's legs, and now we're doing all right. So I'm on base. So it's all right, man.
Oh yeah. Well, good. Thanks so much, Graham, for having me on.
Martin, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And everybody, thanks thank everyone on your team. So thanks for being on the show, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All right, man. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and Rokfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.